right. Hello. Woo. This is how many times Bitcoin has been pronounced dead. 473 obituaries written by journalists, economists, heads of state, even Nobel laureates. And you know what not a single one of those Bitcoin obituaries mention? The names of the people who kept it alive. And that's because the narrative is wrong. Everyone talks about Bitcoin as if it's this force of nature, like it's a prophecy, like it's gravity. It just happens. Well, it doesn't. Bitcoin is not inevitable. Bitcoin is a choice made by builders every single day. I've had the pleasure of seeing it up close, and I can tell you it never looks like you'd expect. So Bitcoin gave us sound money, and Lightning gave us fast payments. When the Lightning Network came out in 2018, it was this incredible feat of technology. We're talking about decentralized network built entirely on Bitcoin, instant payments, basically free. It did have one challenge. It's an interactive protocol. In order for you to receive money, first you had to be online. Then you had to generate an invoice QR. Then you had to send it to the sender. And then hope that nothing timed out on the way. My company, ZBD, is building embedded payments infrastructure for the video gaming industry. And we've been building with Lightning since the very, very beginning. Every time someone wanted to tip a streamer, pay a creator, or reward a player, it was the same challenge. Hope they're online, generate an invoice QR, hope things didn't expire. The same friction every single time. And so we needed things to work a little differently. And I'm a gamer. I've been one since the very beginning. And I can tell you that gamers have usernames and gamer tags. They do not have invoices or QR codes. And so like every good Bitcoiner, we saw a gap and we built it. In August of 2021, I released the Lightning Address Protocol, which is just like email, but for your Bitcoin. So no more QR codes, no more invoices, just send Bitcoin to an address. And we built this for gamers, right? This was what we were solving. But we did not think about El Salvador. 27 days later, El Salvador's Bitcoin law went into effect. We're talking about millions and millions of people downloading their very first Bitcoin Lightning wallets. And lots of those wallets already supported a Lightning address, because in those 27 days, the industry had started accepting it. And the impact of that was tremendous. This is Maria. Maria runs a fruit stand in El Zonte, El Salvador. During the early days of the Bitcoin law, lots of Bitcoiners visited El Salvador and helped merchants, stores, shop owners to onboard into Bitcoin. In this case, our friend Dredd helped onboard Maria into a Lightning wallet, and he proceeded to do something magical. He posted her Lightning address on Twitter. And suddenly, the whole world showed up, right? People in Tokyo, Berlin, São Paulo, Mumbai, strangers that Maria would never meet, began to send her money in real time for free. Because suddenly all they needed was an address. And so Maria earned some Bitcoin that day, but what she actually learned was proof. Proof that Bitcoin works, proof that it's actually easy to use, and proof that it is for everyone, everywhere in the world. Nowadays, the Lightning Address Protocol is accepted and used by everyone, from public companies like Block and Cash App to global exchanges around the world, all the way to you running your Lightning node at home. From boardrooms to basements, the entire industry running on a single, open, easy-to-use, human-readable, interoperable standard. But building the tooling is really just a part of it. In early 2018, I had the privilege to join the Chain Code Lab's first Lightning Network residency program in New York City. 10 handpicked engineers, 2 weeks, going deep, heads down, into Lightning. And this was before most of the industry even took it seriously. The people in the room were actually writing the very first real implementations of the protocol. And that room changed my entire life. I became a product of that room. And for me, what stuck wasn't just the code or the incredible engineering talent. It was what Chain Code had done for me. Right? They didn't charge tuition. They didn't ask for equity in my future businesses. They just gathered a bunch of serious developers in a room and said, go deep. That's it. And that's what we did. Now, that experience was so impactful for me that a question kept coming back. What about the people who never get to that room? What about those who are never actually given a chance? And that's because Bitcoin is meant to be global money. But if the people who write the code for the money of the world only represent one slice of that world, the protocol is going to have blind spots. If we actually want Bitcoin to work for 8 billion people, we need builders that understand what those 8 billion people actually need. The problems and needs of a user in Brazil, São Paulo, are vastly different from a user in San Francisco. And when I'm originally from Brazil, and when I looked at the Bitcoin developer ecosystem in Brazil, nothing. No dev meetups, no conferences, no seminars, no training, just noise. And so, like before, we saw a gap, and we started mapping it out. The very first dev cohort, the very first event, aiming to emulate what Chain Code had done for me in Brazil, and we had a date, 12th of March of 2020. I think we all know what happened that week. So we didn't stop. Builders don't quit, so what did we do? We moved everything online. We held seminars, we held dev meetups, we held entire cohorts on VR chat, right? That early metaverse experiment we were all a part of. Not even a global pandemic can stop Bitcoiners from finding a way to getting into a room together, even though that room was now being rendered at 15 frames per second. In early 2022, we raised philanthropic capital and officially launched Vintium, which is the nonprofit organization focused solely on the Bitcoin ecosystem of Brazil. Now, we have BitDevs meetups countrywide. We have seminars, dev meetups, technical conferences, hackathons. We even place trained engineers into jobs in the industry. When we started, there was no Bitcoin ecosystem in Brazil. Now, Vintium is one of the leading organizations funding Bitcoin development in the world. Chain Code built a room for me, Vintium built a room for Brazil, and Brazilian builders are building rooms of their own. That's the chain. This is how this actually works. But none of that happened in calm waters. None of that was easy. First, we hit COVID. Then we had our friends at FTX. You can talk about Operation Choke Point, the collapse of major banks. But we kept going. We kept building. And so did every single one of you in this room. And now look at where we are. Lightning has matured. Most recent report showing over $1 billion in monthly volume. The payment rails are real. We're seeing 99% payment success rate and sub-second settlement times. And the developer tooling exists. We have just crossed 45,000 Lightning nodes in the network. 8 years ago, we were building on a network that told us this was reckless. Do you remember that? You would open your Lightning node software, and it would tell you in big, bold block letters, this is reckless. But we built on it anyways because we're Bitcoiners, and we knew that this was the start of something big. But meanwhile, while all of this was happening, a whole other revolution was underway. 2 years ago, building a product in Bitcoin required deep protocol knowledge, a big team of engineers, and many months of development. Today, a developer with Claude Code anywhere in the world can prototype what used to take a quarter in a weekend. I see this every day at ZBD, also in the open source world. It is wild what some of these developers can do. Some of the best AI models are open source, and they are only getting better each and every month. So Bitcoin showed us that we don't need to ask permission to participate in the global financial system. And AI is showing us we don't need permission to build. Same energy, same ethos, converging right now, in this moment, in this industry. So Bitcoin is not inevitable. Bitcoin is earned. So don't wait until someone else solves the problem you can see. We have all been building for the better part of a decade in the worst moments, and we are still here because us builders, we don't leave, we don't quit when we get punched. We're the last ones standing when everyone else has gone home. You don't need permission, and you never did. Build a future and build it now. Thank you.